Hi guys, welcome. If this is your first time here, it is Bald TV and hope to see you again. Alright, so in the previous video, I talked about how to unleash the greatness in you, and it was this book that I was talking about. I'll put the image here, and the title of the book is Be True to Yourself. Are you a loyal friend? And if you notice in page 100, we chatted a little bit about how to unleash the greatness in you, and also what to do if you find greatness in someone else. Okay, and so next I'm just gonna still talk into that same line of thought. And what I'm gonna say here is additional ways. What other ways can you use? What other ways are there to unleash the greatness in you? Okay, and in other words, how do you discover yourself? Okay, and one of the best ways of actually discovering yourself is to disconnect and get yourself into solitude. So just disconnect yourself from the world, from yourself, and just not really from yourself but from your surrounding, and get to a place where you can listen to yourself speaking. I don't know if I'm making sense. Okay, anyways, most of you that watch this video, you already know this is a channel where you have to think outside the box to actually get it. Okay, so the point is, some of the ways that you can unleash the greatness in you is to actually disconnect from the world. What do I mean? Just disconnect. For example, usually if I like to write, if I want to write, I just take a long train ride, sit in the back. I'll be either listening to something or listening to nothing. I'll just be watching through the window and just be thinking in my head. It's just like building different type of mansions in my head, and then demolishing everything and then starting over. Okay, and one of the people actually in history that really ended up being very successful, and they used the notion of disconnecting themselves and getting into solitude, is none other than Einstein. Okay, and in one of the writing of Einstein, someone did mention that he discovered the theory of relativity while he immersed himself away from the world. He discovered the theory of relativity just by disconnecting himself from everybody and started to think for himself. I guess some people say talking to yourself, and actually talking to yourself is very good, and that is one of the ways you can actually disconnect. Okay, or just if you have a basement, just leave and go to your basement, sit in a corner, just have a time out. All right, or go for a long walk. That too. So those are some of the things that you can discover, and actually you get great ideas. And those ideas sometimes will look stupid, because great ideas start by being stupid, right? And that's how you build from that. You just write it down. You might talk to one or two people, one person will laugh and the other person might say, wait a minute, I never thought of that. And that's how geniuses are born. Okay, so one of the ways you can use to find the inner greatness in you, just take a time off from the universe, take a time off from the world, and have a time out with yourself. And trust me, the kind of ideas you will come up with. Most of them will not make sense, but trust me, some of them will. Okay? And then the other thing is you can also use the notion of self-discovery questions. Self-discovery. And sometimes some of the best ways you can do self-discovery is to ask yourself questions. Okay? And I think I did mention here that everything you do in life and every thought you have in your head is a result of the questions you are asking yourself. Okay? So that is not a bad thing. Take a moment and try to ask yourself why, where, when, how, ask yourself those questions. And sometimes, and just write down the answers even though they don't make sense. And then revisit them after some time, and you're going to see some of them do make a lot of sense. And through that process, you might actually end up finding what you really are. And some of the things that discovers, or some of the things that determine who you are some of the answers that you answered yourself. Okay? It's just like the classic example sometimes is like if you're this is not a good example, but I'm going to use it. Say, for example, if you're in a bad relationship, for example, just take a time out and go for a very long walk and then talk to yourself. Go sit by that beach, go sit by that neighborhood, just go sit by that park and ask yourself those questions. And if the answers are not convincing, then you're not supposed to be there. And sometimes people don't pursue things is because you fear. What else can go wrong? There is nothing wrong with starting from scratch, right? So many people have done it. Some people are forced to do it. Say, for example, if there's, God forbid, but there are people that went through terrible things like fire in an apartment. War, look at Ukraine. Some people had already bought their houses. Some people they finished paying their mortgages, but now they are staying as refugees in other countries. So they are basically starting from zero. What else can go wrong? You don't have to wait for a situation like war to force you to start from scratch. Some people were washed away by hurricane, right? You lose everything, and you are forced to start from scratch. If Mother Nature or man-made wars like Ukraine can make people start from scratch, how about you? Talk to yourself. If that situation makes sense, if it doesn't make sense, walk. Okay? The other thing is to seek inspiration. Seek inspiration. And some of the best ways to seek inspiration is actually reading. Read books. If you have no time to read books, look for book reviews. Go to YouTube videos, listen to videos, listen to people's testimonies, how people overcame. Don't listen. There are certain inspiration videos that, if you do this, or you have to do this, you do this, greatness, that. No. Testimonies are the best way to go, because if you listen to testimonies, you're going to listen to other stories that are similar to yours, stories that you can relate. That will make sense. But if it's not stories that you cannot relate, then I don't think listening to regular inspiration channels is going to do it. It's like listening to Oprah. Oprah is saying this greatness, that. But she worked from scratch to get to where she is. How about listening to her testimony? If you listen to someone's testimony and you see that the stories relate to you, that gives you the light to actually try to discover you and to unleash the inner greatness in you. Okay? Anyways, that's all I have for now, guys. And I'll see you all in the next one. Take care. you.